So thank you so much for coming today. We are talking about life scripting. Some of you might have already experienced life scripting sessions with me. Some of you might have not. And one thing that many people, one thing that some people used with life scripting is that they think it's only Akashic records. It's not only Akashic records. Akashic records is, oh, hi, Aisha. Akashic records is only one part of it, which is level 1, and level 2 is going to come this fall in 2020. So get ready for that. What is basically life scripting? It combines 4 principles, and when these 4 principles are present, it helps you to get into different and deeper levels of awareness and expand your consciousness. And when that happens, you end up having an easier manifestation process. I'm just going to ask the team at Illuminations if they can answer some of the questions that are coming in regarding the webinar. Yeah, of course, no problem. I think it should work. Aisha, you can write for the Illuminations team and they will guide you. So, what are the 4 principles? The 4 principles are the power of breath, the power of energy, the power of intuition, and the power of words. These 4 principles help us to create a holistic approach in healing. It is a technique that I have been using for over 3 years, but it all came together last year in May, or it was April or in May, and I remember it very clearly. I was at Illuminations and we were doing Rescript Your Life group session. And while everyone was being guided into the Akashic records at the time, I got this very strong direction of this is what I should be creating as a modality, and this is what I should be teaching others. Because my background is teaching English to adults. I've been an English teacher since 2004. I'm still currently an English teacher, and I work with the British Council for that. So I've always wanted to teach all the healing techniques that I've learned, but I've never been sure on what to teach, because on my path, as much as I've loved everything that I've learned, I felt that there was always something missing for me. And this was for my personal journey. So when that information and that channeling came in, I was like, yeah, this is it. I mean, because it doesn't mean that other modalities lack that. It just basically means that wherever we are currently as human beings on this planet, with the collective mindset that we're in, with the awareness level that we're in, this modality is very, very powerful, and it is super fast. So again, we are not negating, or we're not saying that other techniques don't work, because of course they do. They're all amazing. That's what it has brought me, at least personally, to this stage, and I know many of you as well. So anyone else experiencing disturbance while Maria is talking? If anyone is, just put a thumbs up. They could see. I just heard a small crackling sound and then it went away. Hopefully it's clear now. So how does it really work? When we are doing the energy work, I'm going to put my headphones on if it's going to make any difference, okay? Just let me know if you notice a difference, guys.
So that everyone is comfortable. Can you hear me much better now without any disturbance? Oh no, there is a windy sound. Who has their mic on? Someone's mic is on. Okay. There is a person, I'm just... FF234, you are putting your mic on. Please unmute, please mute yourself. sometimes we get hacks. So if this consists, I have to put them out of the room. Ed, can you manage with this person who keeps on unmuting themselves? Okay. Can you guys hear me better now? Thumbs up on the screen. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So, great. So how does it work with the 4 principles? Whenever you're doing any healing work, it's important that your energy body is not in the same physical place that you're doing the energy work. So again, if you're new to energy, I'll just give you a quick background. Your energy field, your aura, so right now my aura is here, and while that you're connecting with me, we're exchanging energy. Doesn't have to be physical presence, right? If I want to do the healing only in this room that I'm in, there are thought forms, there are entities, there are bubbles of thoughts, because I'm sharing this space with my husband, with my dog. So there is this thought form. So the vibration is not of its highest, because as a human being, I'm having different thoughts. My husband's having different thoughts. The dog, I don't know what thoughts the dog's having. So if you want to do a very deep work, you need to get the person's energy out of that space that they're in. And this is what made life scripting unique. So if you've done a session with me, you would know that I would be taking you to 2 places, either or. Either we are traveling etherically, energetically, to the Akashic records, and that's where all the work is taking place. Or we are being connected to the infinite source of intelligence, which we call God, creator, source. So remember, energy follows thought, energy follows intention. So when we are able to put our intention and connect to that energetic field, we don't have to physically go there, right? Because it's an etheric realm, it's an energetic realm. Your vibration is automatically heightened. And that's already the first step of healing that's going to take place. So we've already done a huge amount of work just by taking the person's energy somewhere else, rather than the room that they're in. And another thing that this does, which if you are an energy healer, you would know, you will not get contaminated. You will not get affected by the other person's energies, because you are in a different space and they're in a different space. Okay? It is a very advanced method, guys. So it's not a very big, although there is a level 1, it's not a level 1 per se as a someone who's just starting off energy. So if you have already understood to a certain extent how energy works, then level 1 would be an easy access for you. Why does life scripting help with manifestation? And why does it help you to create things faster? Because you are connecting to your higher self and you're connecting to your soul's energy. I know many modalities who do that already. So this already accelerates, again, the process. Because as a person, as a character, and as a personality that we are, we have our own egoic mind that limits us. So when you're connecting to your higher self, which is limitless, which is abundant, which is your unconditional loving self, then there is no judgment, there is no prejudice, and guess what? There's no fear as well. So when we work with the higher self, receiving information, changing your patterns from that space, then your acceleration becomes much faster. So let me talk a little bit about the principles. The principle and the power of breath is the number one thing. Breath is what keeps us alive. I just had a wonderful free webinar yesterday with a breathwork master, Katya from Greece. And what we talked, and I loved what she said. She talked about saying the first thing that you do when you're born, you take an inhale. And the last thing that you do when you die is you exhale. So, and everything else in between are just breaths. I really loved how she explained that in a very simple format. So breath is what keeps us alive. It keeps us in our body. It keeps us thriving, and it connects us to our body. If a person has a lot of subconscious negative thoughts, or I generally like to call unhealthy thoughts, then their breath is automatically subventilating. So they're not breathing well enough. Why? Because breathing is connected to feeling. And when you're going to feel, and if you have fear and you have negative emotions, negative thoughts, then it's going to come up. You're going to feel like, oh my God, I don't want to feel those. So let me just inhibit them or suppress them. So what does the power of breath in life scripting do? What I've learned in my experience from rebirthing breathwork, which was founded by Leonard Orr, the concept is very simple. It's conscious, connected breathing. So you are conscious in the process, you're not hypnotized, and you're connecting your inhale to the exhale. And when you're creating this loop of breath, then you end up creating energy. So with your own breath, you are increasing your oxygen intake, balancing your CO2, and at the same time, you're bringing in prana into your energy field. And with this power of breath, you are automatically releasing what is stuck in your subconscious mind, what is stuck in your cellular memory, and what is stuck in your DNA pattern, just by the breath alone. So this by itself is already a part of life scripting, which is a healing technique. Now, I have shifted a few things from rebirthing breathwork in life scripting, and one of the things that I've done is taking, again, as I mentioned earlier, is taking the person's energy out of the space that they're in, which makes a huge shift, and it also accelerates the process. If you ask, and I think this could be a big debate between me and a rebirther or a breathwork practitioner, if you ask how long a rebirthing breathwork session would generally take, when I first started back in 2012, it would last about an hour of breathing. With life scripting, this has narrowed down to 20, max 30 minutes. So can you see how much of a faster shift is taking place just by adding a few tweaks? Of course, the facilitator's energy is always important because they will help you to feel safer. From their own clarity of their energy field gives you this lightness as well. So obviously what the facilitator does plays a role, but it's not only that. It also has to do how the session is being done. So in a life scripting session, a person could receive only a breathwork experience, and that would already shift them. Generally, with the breathwork experience would come something like the power of words, which would help them to shift statements. So in NLP techniques, they give you different statements, right? Or in the more holistic or spiritual technique, they talk about affirmations. By using that, combining that with the breath, you are allowing yourself to be the master of your breath and the master of your mind. Going towards the power of words and talking about affirmations, I have heard many people tell me that, Maria, affirmations don't work for me. Or I would say all these positive things and nothing is really changing. Well, this is why it's not working. I would say this is the fundamental reason why it's not working. Because the person has not connected or tapped into what their negative or most unhealthy thought is. The root thought that they have. If they know what that root thought is, then just by shifting it to an affirmation, and by continuously affirming it, whether it's through saying it out loud, whether it's writing it down, whether it's at that particular moment where they feel down or upset or angry or frustrated, and they say that, that's when the shift can take place. But if you go on and use all these beautiful affirmations that exist on the internet, or all those beautiful words that are there, and just say them, yes, it can uplift you, but is it really connecting you to your deepest, most triggering thought that you already have? This is what I always tell people. If I gave you an affirmation and you agreed with me with the affirmation, you say, oh, I really love this. Yeah, this is really nice. Yeah, I believe in it. Then I gave you the wrong affirmation, because you already believe in it. So it won't have an added value to you. However, if you said, nah, that's not really me, I don't think so, great. We just tapped into the part of you that didn't agree. And the part of you that doesn't agree, obviously I'm giving you something positive, right? So let's give an example. If someone has a strong belief that they're not enough, okay? And if you went and gave them an affirmation, a statement by saying, oh, I really love myself, they might say, okay, yeah, I love myself. And they would say it for months and they won't notice a difference. Because first of all, it can be quite generic. And second of all, it's not really connecting to the idea that they're enough or not enough. So they're like, okay, I love myself. For their level of awareness, with the belief of I'm not enough, they would end up acting a way that for them they believe is loving themselves. So they would still go on doing the same sabotaging things and claim them, but I love myself, right? So this is how loving myself is. However, if you went and gave them the affirmation by, I am more than enough, and people see my value, that's when they'll be like, wait, no, people have never seen my value. People always don't appreciate me. That's when you know that you've actually hit to the root of it. So using the power of words is super important, because we are beings that we use language. We think with statements, and those statements create our emotions. We don't have an emotion first and then a statement. It's the other way around. You have the thought first, which is a statement, and then you have the emotion. And some people might not know this, but although we're in the womb, 9 months in our mother's womb, we have statements being created there as well. And we call them nonverbal statements or nonverbal thoughts, because obviously the child's not talking in the womb, right? But their subconscious mind is being created. And the subconscious mind is not only in the brain, it's the whole energy body. So they are creating these statements. And with those statements, they are linking emotions to it. And one of the strongest statements that get created is the moment of birth. And that is what breathwork does. It frees you from any statements or beliefs. So belief is created from the statement and the emotion. Whatever the person has created, the moment of their birth gets stuck in their subconscious mind. And that is one of the most difficult things to clear. Why am I saying it's difficult? Because it creates the person's identity. They believe this is who I am, because that's their first experience in life. Being out of the water experience, which is the womb. The womb is a water environment. You go to a dry environment. So it's important for you. So this is something that you can all contemplate on and focus on. When you are observing your thoughts, if you're doing a meditation practice, if you are doing a journaling practice, if you are doing any kind of self-awareness work that you're doing, observe what your thoughts is. And when you find what that thought is, alter it. Now, it can be really tiring to alter every single thought, right? But you don't have to alter every single thought. You just need to know what the root is, because everything else is just a branch of that. So for example, going back to the example of if someone has the belief that they're not enough, then they could have branches of like, oh, I won't be prosperous. I won't find the right guy. I won't find the right girl. My relationships are always collapsing. And people think that that's the issue, whereas the actual fundamental issue is that they're not enough. Okay, so this is what we are working on in life scripting as well. We are helping to use the person discover what those thoughts are within the breathwork experience. And I'm going to talk about energy and intuition in a few minutes, because that's another fundamental part. And to alter that through the power of words. So there is a vast way of doing and using the power of words. Again, it could be mental. It could be verbal, it could be written, as long as the person is conscious of it and they are at that moment being able to shift it. Now, if at that moment is difficult to shift, and that could be really challenging, that is why we have certain parts of the day which are recommended for the person to use, because their level of consciousness is more receptive. And I'm sure if you search the internet, you will find out that okay, right before we fall asleep is one of the most fundamental parts, because we are gradually going into that deep state or that deep sleep. So the subconscious mind is more receptive. Moving on to the power of energy. I love energy work. And the very first thing I've ever learned that I thought only existed was Reiki. And I think many of you would agree on that. Although when I did Reiki and I experienced energy in my hands, I played with it, but for a very short period of time. Then I was introduced to quantum touch. And that was another format, another modified version of it, which was again fun. And then later on, I expanded more in learning pranic healing. And I've always loved pranic healing. And what I ended up practicing years and years of pranic healing really helped me to shift and help other people's chakras to shift. So all of those, if you read about them, you would notice it has to do with the hands. The hands have the ability to send energy. And in other techniques, there is the possibility of the crystal, where the crystal will transmute energy for others, right? In life scripting, none of those are there. It's by the commanding and by the intention of the facilitator, which is why it's another advanced version of energy, which why it's also linked to the power of words. So I'm going to tell you one of my personal experiences. When I used to do pranic healing years ago, while I'm conducting this session, I wouldn't always be present. I would do a lot of distance healing work. I used to do it a lot for my parents and friends, and for many clients that I wasn't going to see them day to day, because sometimes it needed constant work, like a day-to-day work or every 3 days. So I noticed that I am doing everything that's asked from me, but my mental and emotional state was not with it. I was not being very much in tune with it. I would have moments that I'm so in tuned, but I would have also other moments that my mind is thinking other thoughts and I'm just giving the energy work. So this brought me into a different technique called sacred activations, which is what I am combining with the pranic healing technique in life scripting. So in sacred activations, I am not giving the energy healing work. It's not me. It's not coming through me. The energy is coming from the person's higher self to their physical body immediately. So you don't need a messenger for it. The facilitator's job is to use the right energy that is necessary for the person to conduct it with the power of words and with the power of intention, by deactivating and activating energy for them. Now, metaphysics and quantum physics has shown us that by thought alone, we can transform our DNA. By words alone, we can transform our DNA. And when we say DNA, we mean the energetic part, yeah? We're not talking about changing your eye color yet. Hopefully, we will reach to that mastery years later. But we're talking about the energetic structure of the DNA, which has the habits, the beliefs of our parents and our ancestors. And if you believe in past lives, again, that's in your DNA system. So with activations and deactivations, we are connecting to the belief that the person has, and we're just shifting that. We're not analyzing why it's there, how it's there, when did it come, what is the person learning from it. If the person needs to know, they will already receive that awareness. If they don't need to receive it. Some people love the analytical part. I love analysis myself, but there are times that would put you on a hamster wheel, that you would go back and forward, analyzing yourself over and over again. And you would be so much in your mental body that you won't be able to feel or release or let go. So what I love about the energy part of activating and deactivating, every person's personality trait is still being respected and is also being acknowledged. So if the person wants to know why and how and when something has come up, within the session, they will realize it. If they don't want to have that, and if they don't need to have that, they won't receive it. They would just finish the session and they're like, I just don't have that thought anymore. How did it go away? Was that magic? It's not magic. It's just the power of energy, how it works. So we are also learning in life scripting how to transform the beliefs in the chakras. You see, our chakras or our energy centers hold on to beliefs. That is why whenever you read about chakras, you read about their colors, you know that each one has its own function. It has its own reasoning and their purpose why they're present. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. If they all had the same reasoning, then it would be quite interesting to know, then why do we have all of those? Each one has its own function. It has its own purpose. And you can clean someone's energy every single day. Okay, you can clean their aura every single day. But if you do not remove the belief that's stuck in their chakras, in their energy field, which is their subconscious mind, basically, then they're going to recreate it again. There has been numerous examples over the years where, from different teachers, different masters, where they have received intensive healing, they felt great, and a couple of months later, they've had it again. So obviously, the human mind will end up blaming the modality. They would end up blaming the facilitator, the technique, without realizing that there is something within them that is either not ready to let go of, or they are not being able to understand the process of it. They're not understanding that they are actually creating that over and over again, that they have the power to change that. So that is why when we are doing energy work in life scripting, we are using certain colors. There are 2 fundamental colors that we use. But other than that, it's not only about the colors. It's about what belief are we clearing, why we are clearing it, where it's coming from. As I said, we're not going into that deep conversation. However, if the person is into understanding it, there are different ways of using different question types. And this is where it leads me to the 3rd principle. Well, it's the 4th now because we reached to the final one, which is the intuition. Developing the intuitive mind through life scripting is another very, very fundamental and powerful tool. If you only use a healing modality just by using your left brain, then you are some kind of working as a robot. You're not in tune with the energy. It doesn't mean that you won't get results. You would get results, but it's limited. Why? Because the left brain is limited. Because the mind that we have is limited. Just because what we are learning or what we are told is the only way to heal, even if I am teaching life scripting, I always give the people the expansion and the possibility of shifting certain things for themselves and for their clients. The reason why we have certain protocols is just to make themselves feel safe and to make the clients feel safe. But other than that, the process has to do fundamentally on the intuitive part. So many people ask me, how can they activate their intuition, or how can they expand their intuition? Again, like many other things, there's so many ways for it. But the first thing that a person needs to clear for the intuition to be free is to clear their fears. Now, I'm not going to say clear all your fears so that you can have intuition, because then I'm basically telling you, yeah, you have about another 20, 30 years probably to clear all of that. And that is unfair. You have people doing a weekend training and the next day they are very intuitive. So obviously timeline is not a matter of developing your intuition. It's about how much you are learning to trust yourself to let go of any fears that are blocking you. Regarding intuition, there are so many fears that can take place. One is that the fear of seeing and feeling other people's stuff. The other thing could be the fear of connecting to a being of light that you are not physically being able to connect to. So you can see a friend in front of you and you're okay with that. But if you saw a golden light or a white light in front of you, your mind might freak you out. So those could be your barriers for your intuitive blockages. The other thing is, people don't know who their beings of light are or their spirit guides are. So they don't know who their helpers are to help them and guide them. That is why it's so important to know who is there as a master guiding you. We can all connect to God, but God also has helpers like we are, right? So when you go to a facilitator, you and the facilitator have the same essence. A master is just different from us in a form of they have a huge level of experience and they have mastered their mind and their emotions, and they've mastered time and space. So connecting to those divine beings, we are all divine beings, but connecting to those master divine beings, they will be like teachers to guide you. And they will be able to guide you to know how you can help others. You might not know names, you might not know definitions about them, but just by having that openness would help. Having that open-mindedness is very important. Another thing is, I get this a lot, is when people have a limited belief on what intuition is. They think if they see things, they're intuitive. But intuition has a huge range. You could have a feeling, you could have a thought, you could see an image, you can smell something that would give you a message, you would taste something, you would just have a certain knowing, and that is more than enough. You don't have to see in a session for you to know that you're intuitive. Whether you are conducting a session when you've become a life scripting practitioner, or if you are receiving a session. You just need to allow yourself, just by putting the intention, I allow myself, that's it, I allow myself. When you continuously say that I allow myself to be open, gradually you will start to hear or feel those certain fears that have been blocking you that you were not aware of. You might start to feel or think that, but if I allow myself, will I have dark energy coming in? Bingo, that's already a sign that you have blocked yourself because you think that there is dark energy that's going to come in. And that's already a huge block. So those would be your indications. So in a life scripting training, I am initiating and I'm activating people's healing abilities. So what I love about it is I've given this course for about 5 times now, if I'm not mistaken, 5 or 6 times in less than a year. And every single time I've noticed that people are coming up with a different level of awareness beyond what my mind would expect. So I would have someone suddenly tell me on the second day of the training, Maria, I can feel energy in my hands. And I'm not even training, I'm not a Reiki teacher to activate their hands, right? And suddenly they go on and they start to give energy through their hands. So they have developed a gift and a talent that they have, which is beyond life scripting, but it has opened something up in them. Another person will end up starting to give tarot card readings just because they've done the process. Yes, there is breath work. Yes, there is energy. Yes, there is intuition and words. But just by taking the course, they've ended up becoming tarot card readers. They just needed that initiation in the training to expand themselves. So see it in a form of expansion. Don't see it as a form of certification that I need to get that certificate. It's like bringing your own power back, bringing your own mastery back, and reminding yourself that you cannot physically survive without the breath. You cannot sustain your energy to a high vibration if you haven't cleared your energy. You cannot only use your mind, your left brain. And you cannot keep on thinking negative thoughts and expecting manifestations to happen. So when all of these 4 are simultaneously being worked together, and there could be phases for that. For example, I've had people who would go into intensive breathwork experiences. So they would do 5-10 sessions only with the breathwork, because that's what their soul is longing for. That's what they feel like they want to do. Or I would be intuitively telling them, this is what you really need right now. Others, they would end up just having the energetic experience. Now, whenever I say energetic, everything is energy, right? But just so that you can know which principle I'm talking about. Others would only need to focus on the words, which is where the coaching experience comes in. Asking the right questions, connecting to the person, and knowing and making them realize what is it that's holding them back, rather than bombarding them with your personal thoughts or your personal experiences. So, and another thing that many people don't know is life scripting. The name of it basically means that you are recreating your life. So you're recreating it in your blueprint. Your blueprint, which is your soul's DNA, the lessons, the karma that you want to learn, you are working on that, becoming aware of that, and with your free will, with your free choice, making the shifts. Along with it, there is also the aspect of space clearing, because space clearing helps people to live in a physically more healthier environment. I'm sure that all of you are staying at home most of your time. So imagine that if you shifted the energy of your own house and you made it into, let's give an example of a spa kind of experience, right? I'm just giving an example that would make many people feel relaxed. Imagine you had the energy of that in your house. Not necessarily every room, but having at least one room dedicated for that. Wouldn't you already feel different by being in a space that there's no clutter, there is no noise, unnecessary noise? The energy makes you feel already relaxed within itself. So that's a different topic. I'll talk about it next month. And there are a few videos on that already about space clearing. That is also a fundamental part of life scripting, because we are in a physical body, so we need to honor our physical body. We need to honor the space that we're in. We cannot only sit and meditate and expect that miracles are happening. We need to do something with our physical body. We need to do something with the space that we're in. Yes, we can reach to a level of mastery where nothing in the outside at all matters and it's only in the inside, and we can really change everything inside. But shifting certain things in the outside world, like we know, like changing the diet of someone, drinking more water, connecting to the elements of fire, water, air, and the earth, it gives us more aliveness. And that is why space clearing is there, to help us to clear the energy field that we're having. So that's a lot of talking. Who has questions? Who wants to either type in the chat box or unmute themselves so I can give you more information? Or if you have any questions that can help. Yes, Ruda, go ahead.
I want to ask about sacred activations, if it's connected to sacred geometry.
Very good question. So sacred geometry is a fundamental part of our beingness, of how we are being created, right? When we are using sacred activations, it is activating the sacred geometry within us. So it's kind of like it was dormant. I always like to use this kind of hand movement because it's kind of like a door that has been shut and then it opens up. So when you are using sacred activations, Tamara Oviet, who is the founder of Sacred Activations, she was initiated on doing sacred activations to change people's sacred geometry, but it expanded more than that. So if your sacred geometry, if you're new to sacred geometry, you're basically connecting to your blueprint. Again, I'm using that word again. You're connecting to your blueprint, which is the essence of your beingness, okay? And it's opening and expanding that up. So to give you a short answer, is it connected? Yes. Is it only that? No. That would be the short answer for it, yeah? I can see a question here. You only heard rebirth, only a belief. Can you specify what you mean by that? Manoj, if you can give me more clarity on that. Shalini, that's a very good question. You're asking us if, for example, Reiki, one can do self-Reiki to heal themselves. Can we learn this to help and heal ourselves? That is the fundamental reason why we're learning life scripting. Whether you want to do it as a career, whether you want to do it as giving service to others, that's a secondary option. When I learned all of these personally, it was never to change my domain. I mean, I've already had a career in teaching. Yes, I've always been fascinated by it, but I never thought I would completely take the direction of making this my own career. So you are learning always fundamentally self-healing. I don't believe there is a modality out there that is not about self-healing first. Yeah? So of course you would be able to heal yourself, and then if there is the urge and if there is the longing and if there is the desire and it's in your path that you choose to, then it will help you to work on others as well. Is rebirth only a belief? You mean being reborn in this body? Is that what you mean? So based on what okay. Yes, is it only a belief? That's a very controversial question. And my answer would be, and I don't think many people would agree, it is a belief, yes. Because we create the body, we co-create it with the divine, and we end up believing that this is all real. I actually had a very strange experience 5 days ago. I was having a nightmare. I had done a lot of energy work on that day, on myself, not necessarily with others. And then HS, I'll answer your question in a minute. And I was in this very chaotic nightmare. When I opened my eyes, now logically, if you have a nightmare and open your eyes, you'd be like, oh, thank God, I'm out of it, right? I had the complete opposite experience. I opened my eyes, I looked around, I was like, no, this is a dream. I closed my eyes and I believe that's the truth. And I'm not exaggerating, that lasted for about 10 minutes. My whole body was sweating. It was basically like a war scene kind of experience. Some people I knew in it, some people I didn't. It wasn't a past life, it was a parallel reality, I would say. But I had never had an experience where I did not believe that I was in my bed and not believing that this is the truth. The other experience felt more real. So I think this is an example where it would show that depending on the level, the more we expand our awareness, we are able to connect to different levels of existence. And I think that's a very deep and longer topic that we can go on and on about it. And it would make us to realize that, is this physical body real, and is this experience real, and is it being born a real thing, or is it just a belief? And I would answer that it is a belief. But again, I would have controversial and debates on that. I'll leave it for another time. So HS, your question is, can you walk us through the course agenda, particularly if it's given online? Okay, so obviously we're going to be doing it online. And I know it's very new to many people in the Middle East to receive online courses. And I'm specifying Middle East because I have been doing for years online courses with people in the UK, with people in US. And the Zoom courses have been going on for easily for 5-6 years already. We have just entered it here thinking that, oh my God, how can energy be transferred through the Zoom or through the screen? Okay, so it is an online course. It's for 2 days. The life scripting level 1 is 2 days. Space clearing is a separate course done on 1 day. What we do on the first day, it's a very interactive course. That means you need to practice, and you will be put in breakout rooms to practice on one another. You are obviously getting the protocols. You get a manual with it. You get 2 things with it as well. One is a high vibrational frequency music, which you have to meditate on for 40 days. I'm saying have to because it will cleanse your energy body. It's just music. It has a certain frequency and it keeps on healing you simultaneously. And with it, you also get the 13 chakra energy healing that you can listen to it every other day. Because remember, if you want to be a facilitator, which is a practitioner course, for yourself and for others, you need to have a lighter energy body, right? So that you can give them that safety, that trust, and that ease of the process. So you're getting those 2. You're getting the manual. The first 2 days we focus on, because life scripting level 1 is Akashic records, you will learn how to use the Akashic records energy. You understand how to enter the Akashic records. Of course, another misconception that people have about Akashic records is that it's only to access past lives. No, Akashic records is to access your higher self, which means there's no past, present, future. It's accessing your whole dynamic, your soul experience. So past life is just one aspect of it. You connect to the Akashic records, you learn how to connect to it, you give someone else a session to access the Akashic records, and you learn to use energy and the power of words, how to conduct those 2 in the Akashic records on day 1. Day 2, you don't need to believe in past lives. Very good question, Istreen. You don't have to believe in it. I didn't know about past lives 15 years ago. I come from a Christian background. There's nothing about past lives in Christianity, right? And I didn't know about it until I received my first past life regression. And then that I didn't believe in it much as well until I received my rebirthing breathwork, where I actually felt and sensed things. And my facilitator was intuitive at the time. He was being able to tell me that you're seeing this, right? You're feeling that, right? So I realized that I'm not losing my mind. But you don't have to believe in it. Don't worry about that. Day 2, you are learning the breath. Now, in level 1, you are learning a portion of breathwork mastery. Okay? So don't go around and feel that, okay, now I know how to give full breathwork sessions. You can give the sessions in the Akashic records, but you don't have the full breathwork experience yet. That's another course by itself that we're still working on to make that happen. So you're learning the breathwork on the second day, and then you are connecting, and that's my favorite part personally, to your invisible team of helpers, your intuitive guides, and to connect your intuition, to connect to different timelines. The reason why I always put that on the second day, because on the first day, there is a huge part of you that already gets activated. So any intuitive abilities that you have that have been dormant will blossom. And then on the second day, we will blossom it a bit more with breathwork. And the last, I would say 2-3 hours of the session would be about connecting deeper into your spirit guides and knowing who they are and how you can work with them if you need to. Again, that is a very personal experience, because I have decided to include about 14-15 ascended masters that are recognized throughout different religious backgrounds, different scripts. But I've always been fascinated how everyone has a certain connection with only a few of them. When I say few, maximum 3. So I'm talking about 14-15 people, and only 2-3 of them they get connected to. The rest, they're like, who is this? I don't know. I don't feel anything. Nothing. And there is a certain way that I do that so that there is complete discernment, that you won't have any doubts that you are creating them. Yeah? Any other questions, guys? We still have 5 minutes. How is it different than in-person class? Short answer, it's your belief. So what do I mean by that? If you are a person who, I think we all do love being in a person's presence, interacting with one another, but energy is energy, nothing changes. The information is not condensed, it's not shortened. Nothing is changing the information, nothing is changing the process. It's just that, why did I say it's a belief? It's the actual physical experience. Now, one thing it's important to know, that live scripting, there's no touching. So you're not allowed to touch the other person. So even if you are in a physical room, the guidance and the direction, I'm here. So as I'm talking to you right now, if you learned something today in this 1 hour, this is what you're going to experience in 2 days with me, right? In a person class, you are just having that physical presence of others. We're creating that bubble in a physical reality. But again, this is just a personal preference. Some people do wish to have that, and I have no doubt about it. And I have some people, it just doesn't matter to them. There is no, because when we're doing in breakout rooms, for example, so obviously I teach classes in breakout rooms right now, right? Even my English classes. When you have learned the right protocol, which you are being learned first, and then you're practicing, and you have the manual with you, then my role is to come and interfere every now and then while you're giving a session. Now, when I'm sometimes giving an in-person class, I also like to leave the room sometimes when people are practicing, simply because to activate their confidence and trust in them. And of course, when they're done and I come back, they share their experience and they share their understanding and whatever more guidance that they need. So it is a very intuitive work that we're doing as well. As much as there are the rules and there's the manual, etc., but there is a lot of intuitive work. So if you trust yourself, trust the process, trust the facilitator, then everything else just falls easily. That is always the first rule in any kind of learning, in any kind of healing. Everything else, then it finds its own place and its own balance. So we have Ed, who is my amazing, amazing helper in booking all the sessions, in consulting you guys and helping you book your sessions with me. We have decided to give a 25% discount for the first 6 people who register for the course. If you need a bit more guidance and you haven't spoken to me before, you can easily come for a 20-minute free consultation online, and I can help you and help you understand a bit more if you still need to. Otherwise, you can also contact him. He might contact you if you need more information on this. Okay? When is the course? Very good question. It's on the 26th and 27th of June. That's happening. Still, we are doing it online. Although I will be in the center starting June 3 times a week. Unfortunately, I won't be conducting any breathwork sessions in the center because with a mask and breathing, that is super unhealthy. So I will be doing live scripting sessions without the breathwork part. And of course, because I do intuitive reading as well, I will be able to do that. I would be doing coaching as well. That would also exist. So if you want to physically come and meet me next month in June, you're more than welcome. We'll have our masks on, and that's going to be so strange for me. And we'll see how it goes. Have a lovely evening, everyone, and hope to see you around for the meditations, for the group sessions. If there is a current change, I would love to have it in person in the stream. Of course, why not? If the current person, when the current person situation changes, why not having it? The reason why, based on Illuminations work, we need to get an information from KHDA. Okay, so they have to let us know as a training center that even me as a British Council teacher, I can't conduct classes anymore face-to-face because they have stopped the training centers around the UAE. So that is what we're basically waiting. So we're not very much equivalent with the gyms or the malls, right? You have to think of it more of a training center. Did someone raise their hand? They want to ask a question before I leave? No. Okay. See you guys. Have a wonderful evening and speak soon. Bye.